right. Welcome to a very brief, hopefully, interlude of the One Ring game that we've been playing for the past few months. A couple days ago, we had our finale of Book 1, which ended with an epic battle over Fornost, and it picks up soon thereafter, and we'll get to it. All right. So, as the camera pans down, it moves from north to south. It moves from a great and glowing fortress to plains. It moves to small forests, dense in some places and scarce in others. It zooms in over a long and winding road that crawls north to south, and then you see a single rider. It is Aravule, son of Arafel, and before him, clutched safely, is Arthanur, and they ride like the wind. As the sun reaches its crest, they cross over into Trestle Bridge, and then in the blink of an eye, it is past them. They wind down the greenway, up and over small hills and dales, and crossing small streams, until the light begins to fail. But soon they ride on. Still they ride on, pressing. Until, up ahead, just north of Bree, they see a fire just off of the road. All right, Aravule and Arthanur, take it away.
Good Ghost.
And Arthanur's probably, how many days has it been since we've been riding, or is this just from immediately after the end of the last session?
This, if you are on a good road and on a fast horse and just booking it, you're at the end of day one here.
Yeah, Arthanur's is probably starting to look a bit rough. You know, sort of very tired and arm limp. How close are we? Do you know?
Arvel frowns. Not particularly close. We've only been going a day. How much longer to Rivendell, from your estimates, from Fornost, then?
At least another 4, maybe 5 days if we ride hard.
He frowns and he's like, "You're going to need all your strength. We'll try to rest for a while." And he nods his head. "A fire." And he kind of pauses. "Goody, perhaps?" Certainly they're moving not as fast as we.
I can only hope.
Aravule, why don't you roll me an awareness?
Alright. Yeah. Sorry, I gotta open up. Where am I? Awareness.
You're not aware of your awareness? Oh, there it is. That's not good.
Just ahead of you. You can do it up too, Arthanur.
Mine's not gonna be very good either. I'm pretty weary. Just kidding.
You got stabbed by a Morgul Blade. I could see better than you.
Up ahead, just to the left of the road, off maybe 20 yards or so, you see what looks to you like several figures gathered around a campfire, but you don't know. It might be trees, might be brigands. You don't know who it is, but you definitely see humanoid shapes. At Arthanur, you can see definitely one larger shape and one smaller shape huddled over a fire, and the outline of one of these shapes seems quite familiar to you.
Yes, sir. Well, I can see. I see that it is Goody and Willward. I feel they will be good company this night, at the very least.
And Arvel nods, and he's like, "Come on, then."
The previous night you had left with Willward, and you've ridden until it was dark, or beginning to get dark. until you came to an area that was good to stop, at which time your good hobbit sense cued you in that maybe your horse could use a meal, as could you and Willward. So being the kind gentleman he is, he stopped for a brief campfire now that you're away from danger, and you hear the sound of horses coming from down the road. Goody.
Zypher.
The hobbit is bonged out, it appears. No.
Zypher.
Cypher. Has the California pot smoke just completely taken you into haze?
Him and Willward.
Cypher, can you hear me, my man?
So Goody's gonna say,
Okay.
assholes.
That's like what happens. He's so stoned. It takes him this long. It takes him this long for it to register.
Willard, did you hear that? Something approaches us. This late an hour.
Of course I heard it. I'm a ranger, Willward says. He kind of stands up, and he kind of puts his arm across Goodwill and says, hang on, let me investigate this. And he goes up the path a few paces and kind of ducks behind a tree and waits for the riders to approach. And as he does so, he has his bow with an arrow nocked at the ready to fire.
Yeah, Aravule will call out, "Hold there! It is Aravule, son of Arafel and Arthanur."
At the mention of Arthanur's name, Goody's like, "Oh, it's Arthanur and Aravule."
Willward stepped out. Well, then why didn't you say so? Join us for a late supper, will ya? I see you here. I trust the battle went well.
Aravule, so he is like riding his horse and he is pulling another horse behind him, right? And I'm guessing Arthanur is too, because we basically took extra horses. And Aravule kind of rides up kind of quickly and dismounts, and then kind of leaves Willward to take his horse as he goes back and to help Arthanur stop his horse and get out of the saddle and whatnot, without really responding.
And Goody's gonna kind of sense that. Arthanur, is everything okay?
For now. Yes, my arm's limp and just not really moving. I've got all my weapons and equipment just tied to the horse pretty much.
Arthanur looks at Goody and he's like, I don't know if it'll be any help, but those athelas that you had used, or that the Gondorian had used on you, do you have any more of those?
Yes, I do. I have one more vial of that.
And he nods and kind of extends his arm to Arthanur to help him walk towards the camp if he would accept it.
And I would hold out my hand to sort of stop. It's like, I can still walk, Ranger. I still have some measure of pride. When I can't, though, you're more than welcome to assist me.
He nods and steps forward.
Willward comes forward as well and helps you, has a grim look on his face. And he kind of puts his head behind Arthanur and gives Aravule a sidelong look and kind of like shakes his head.
Yeah, Aravule frowns and kind of waits until everybody gets by the fire and like, Goody, I don't know what this is going to look like. I do not want to frighten you. But there's no... You've earned the truth from us all. You can't be hiding from the horrors of the world. Yes, we won the battle. But Arthanur was stabbed by a Morgul blade.
Goody just stands there dumbstruck.
Why don't you give me
Morgul blade?
a lore check, Goodwill?
Yeah.
Huh?
A Sith Lord?
Who's Morgan?
A Morgul Blade, you say? What is that?
Aravule. Well, what I know of them, they are weapons of the enemy, of the shadow. And they are essentially poison, a deadly poison. I only know of one, maybe two people who would know how to heal such a wound. We head for Rivendell and Lord Elrond. And he looks at Goody and he's like, I am glad we found you on the road, because if Arthanur would happen to pass out, you will be the only one that will be able to lead us there.
And at this point, Goody's like, he's kind of putting everything together, and he's, yes, we must go to Rivendell. Let's leave now. Let's not wait any longer.
He frowns and says, no, he needs rest, plus I will need you to pack the Athelas in the wound. Hopefully it will delay the poison. He shrugs, not knowing if that will work or not, but...
Yes. You're right, Aravule. You're right as usual. Okay, let me take a look. Arthanur, where is it? Where did the Morgul Blade hit you?
And I would, because I'm not wearing armor or anything. This one is wearing it's common. I don't look good before I die, so I'm wearing the fancy clothes, my fancy traveling clothes, and I sort of draw back on the shoulder above where my shield shoulder is, like where I have my left shoulder in that case, and just show him the wound. I'm sure it looks pretty gnarly.
Yeah. Goody kind of takes a couple of steps back, looking at the wound. Okay, and he kind of there's like some water in his water skin, and he kind of pours some of that into the bowl, warms it up a bit, and tries to clean the wound a little, and then apply the Atlas tincture that he has. I don't know how much good this will do, Arthanur, but we must try. It helped me, maybe it'll help you, and I can always make some more. The elves in Rivendell taught me how to. Galdor, I believe, taught me how to.
I just half smile. I think your effort and the Rangers' efforts are wasted, but we shall see.
No,
Either way, I am content.
No effort is wasted in these matters. You must stop looking at these things with such a dull outlook. It's starting to grate on my nerves. Now, let's try this.
Willward pipes up and says, listen to the hobbit in this matter. Elf, always so haughty. Kingsfoil, as we know this herb, it has powerful healing properties. Even for the likes of you, I don't suspect your dour spirit will scare it away.
But I know of the Morgul's poison. Kingsfoil will not do, but you're welcome to try.
Aravule.
Then try we will.
Yeah, Aravule says, and this I cannot blame Arthanur for being dour. You too would be dour if you were struck by such a thing. Come, Goodwill, help me with him. It is all we can do but try.
Goodwill goes ahead and starts applying the tincture on the wound.
Alright, healing. Plus 4 for that tincture.
Can I assist or anything like that? Is that a thing?
Yep. Why don't you make a healing check on your own, Aravule?
Okay.
And if you succeed, I'll lower the DC to 12.
That sounds good. Well, here's my one dice while I'm wary, so don't count on much.
6. Yeah. Well,
Not a doff.
He coughs into the wound.
Aravule, get back. Let me handle this. You're not supposed to cough into
I'm
this.
certain that won't get infected.
This is just a temporizing measure, so the TN is 14.
Okay, here we go.
Can you hope it?
I'm
Plus
gonna
4,
hope-
right?
Oh, plus 4, 17.
Yeah, that passed.
Yeah, fast. So the night passes and you watch over Arthanur, and he spikes several fevers, but then he starts to cool off in the morning. Let's see here. It's morning.
Aravul's
the-
been awake most of the night.
As the sun rises, you see that off the sides of the road there are many slain orcs. This is kind of near where that battle happened on your way up to Fornost.
Mm-hmm. Aravul's been up early, like getting the horses ready, basically.
Goodwill's been sleeping kind of in fits right next to Arthanur. Every time he would in his sleep, he would kind of move around or like moan with pain. Goodwill would wake up and see if everything was fine with Arthanur. So
Just kidding.
See?
And Arthanur would wake up and this would be a mess, sweaty, pale, and eyes looking sort of like dark bags. It wasn't a very good sleep. Saw dark things, dark visions in his mind from the rest, and so he stands up and he grabs a nearby stick that looks fit for a walking stick, and his one good arm, and is awake now, sauntering about.
Can I use my herb lore to see if there's any king's foil around? Maybe, may not be able to make a tincture, but like use it as a way to chew it and keep the wound or the poison at bay.
Yeah. So herb lore, yeah, that'd be good. I think you still probably would need to make an explore at 10.
Okay.
It's 10 because you're herb lore.
Can I hope that?
You can.
It's wits or heart for.
Explore is going to be actually body.
Oh fuck.
Your short legs don't carry you far from the campsite.
Shit. Okay.
There's just none around here. I mean,
And Goodwill kind of comes back with like head held down, not finding any more king's foil around here. But they still he still has some spirits. Like, okay, maybe tonight they can find some more.
yep. As you come back to the camp, you find Willward, and he has snuffed out the fire. And he says, "Come, Goodwill, Aravule, Arthanur. I don't need be the one to lay it out, but we must make haste." And
Aravule
he
nods.
kind of goes up alongside of Aravule and acts like he's, tightening the packs on his horse. And he says, "Aravule, even in these early summer days and even after the victory you have achieved, I fear the spies of the enemy have not rested. Overnight I have seen eyes lurking in the wood. We must make haste immediately."
Yes, I agree. When we get closer, I will send you to Estelden and we will head on to Rivendell. There you should tell Halbarad of our victory and what has happened. He would decide what to do with Fornost then. And he basically quickly gets his horse prepared and Arthur's horse prepared and turns and... Goody, you will have to ride hard today. If you need to, you can ride upon my horse with me. We would not be going slowly, I'm afraid.
Yes, Aravule. I think that is a good idea. I shall ride with you. I do not wish to slow us down. I also have some rope here that I can tie myself to your saddle so as to not fall off.
He nods. Yes, anything for safety.
Bo, I have a question.
Willward Willward says that he says, I can accompany with you on your journey as far as Amonsul. The Hobbit is welcome to ride with me until then.
He
That'd be
shrugs.
probably the fastest way back.
Yeah,
to go
that's fine.
from the lowlands.
So, if I've got 0 hope, am I miserable?
Are you at 0 hope?
I am at 0 hope.
Yeah, you're miserable.
Alright.
I can't remember mechanically what miserable does.
If he
Bad
rolls
things.
if you roll an eye, you lose control of your character for that scene, and I believe you gain a point of permanent shadow, and you move down the scale. You move down the shadow weakness scale.
Just don't roll anything.
I've seen some foreshadowing here that suggests I might have to.
Just let us take care of it. Let us take care of it.
Alright.
I rested. How much of my stuff do I get back? That's the question.
Well, you're going to get all of you are going to get your, and or say Arthanur, you don't because you're quote unquote wounded.
Mm.
But Aravule will get your
Heart.
your basic heart score,
Got it.
and you've been riding hard, and you camped, you stayed up all night. This is not a good night's rest.
Yeah.
So that's all you get.
So basic heart. That's good enough to get me out of weary.
There you go.
Yeah. So Aravule is happy with Willward taking Goodwood. It doesn't matter to him at this point. It's just got to get moving. Come on, Arthanur. It's time to go. A hard ride today.
Yes, indeed. Hop up on the horse and...
Here we go, I guess.
All right.
Yeah.
This particular song was not working for some reason. All right. And away they went, past Bree and flying east along the great road by the same name. Gone was the rain. Indeed, the weather was something wonderful. And if it were not for the dire need of the moment, the hobbit, elf, and ranger would have enjoyed themselves. But there was important business to attend to, and so their horses' hooves thundered down the road, traversing the barren lone lands. At one point, they passed the looming ruins of Amonsul to their left. Just real quick, I want some travel rolls. And we're only going to roll the lore for the bonus dice if you fail. That makes sense, just to speed it up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Dolphin.
Fail.
I'll use a hope. Why not?
Well, why don't you roll lore real quick?
Oh, okay.
See if you get an extra d6.
I'm pretty good at lore, so hopefully. Pretty good at lore.
Not that good.
Well,
I'll use a hope. Well, I mean, yeah, sure, why not?
Because you're going to take travel fatigue.
Yeah, I'll use a hope. I got plenty right now.
In the summer, I think it's 2.
I just use my thing.
And Arthur, you probably just have to take the 2 fatigue, right?
I am, yeah. You saw my thing about not wearing the mail?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you obviously would have that off and stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna wear armor when I'm fucked up. shit.
Fuck.
Was this my idea to do this?
This looks familiar. For all the wrong reasons.
So you continue down the east road, and as you continue on and you go further and further, you stopped a few different nights, and Arthanur's condition continues to worsen. However, maybe that fastest of progressions is slowed at least somewhat by the administration of Goodwill's tincture. So he's hanging in there. And then one afternoon, as you're continuing on, and you're entering the troll shaws, from behind you, you hear Willward. He shouts, "Aravule, on your left! They've moved upon us!" And then from out of the forest, you see several dark shapes dart down the road and approaching your flank. Soon it's clear they are wolves, led by one that's much larger than the others. "The spies of the enemy do not rest," says Willward as he loads his bow. He quickly shoots twice, one arrow then another. Two of the felled beasts fall yelping, and then they are lifeless. But their leader approaches Aravule and the elf.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are riding here, and this thing's just tracking you.
So we're on Amansul or around it or near
No,
it?
you're just on the road. This is just a back.
Oh, okay.
You're on the east road, and you're just running, and like you go past a copse of trees, and basically what has happened is a pack of wolves has kind of been probably tracking you like a lot of this time, and they've emerged from it, and so ideally there's like a bunch of wolves chasing you, but there's being led by this giant alpha, and it's
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna try to run at this point, I guess. On the horses.
all right.
Yeah, I dig into the flanks of the horse and look at Arthanur and Willward. Onward, do not stop. We're in no shape to face anything right now. Unless we must.
What do you think would be like a riding skill? It's odd they don't have that.
I probably just...
Something like
Yeah.
athletics,
Yeah,
whatever it is.
athletics, that's what I would think.
Okay.
Which is
Why don't you...
awful, but...
So Willward and Aravule give me an athletics, and I'll do the same for...
Yep. I'm rolling really good in this session.
I'm still, Arthanur's still, even though he's not feeling the greatest, is still arming himself in case this goes poorly. Which it just might.
Let me find old Willward here.
I'm not doing too hot either. Neither am I. You ready?
Well, it looks
you
like we're
ready for me
fighting.
You ready for me to survive a fucking Morgul Blade only to be killed by a wolf?
So you got 3, 9. You're just riding though, so. All right. So Willward's able to pull ahead, and Goodwill's kind of in range distance. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of out ahead, but this wolf and Willward has shot down a couple of his companions, so it's just this one. Just kind of closed on you and starts to nip at your horse and just jump up at you and take snaps.
Well, knowing that if our horses are killed, we're in deep trouble, Aravule kind of veers the horse to the side and tries to dismount as best he can without, like, throwing himself to the ground.
All right, athletics.
Yeah. What's my TN?
14.
Hey!
Oh! What's that look like?
So he kind of veers it off to the side and slows the horse down enough, but then kind of takes a step out of the stirrup a little and hits the ground hard, but then rolls and is able to gather his feet quickly and draw his sword as he does so.
Okay. So what's going to happen is, so as you do that, because you've got a Dolph, you see ahead of you, Willward says to Goodwill, "Goody, hang on to me." And
Yes.
Willward digs his heels into his horse, and his horse just whinnies and like kind of skids and does an about face, a 180. And he says, "Goodwill, do you have a weapon to strike?"
Yes, I do.
He's like, "Draw it now." And you hear him draw his sword.
Goody's going to draw his sword as well.
All right, I'm gonna flip horizontal. Oops, that's weird.
Whoa!
That's not quite right.
Little bug.
All right.
There you go.
So they turn around. They're heading this direction. They're heading back towards you. So next round, they're going to be able to join in that fight and just like kind of roll past it. But Aravule with the Dolph, you're able to dismount dismount your horse. The wolf runs past you, and it turns around, but you're going to get the first attack.
Okay.
And so roll battle real quick.
Defensive.
I'm also charging it on the horse that I'm still on.
Defensive. Okay.
I will hit it. You want me to use a token? I'm guessing, yeah.
Yep.
And that's gonna fuck it up pretty good. That's 14 damage, or no, 15 damage. If it hits it, yeah. Oh, it might not hit it. Does it get more than 4 parry?
Let me see what his parry is 6.
I will use a hope.
Do I get to join this one, despite being sick?
Yes.
Okay.
So you hit him?
15 damage.
All right. Not dead yet.
Yeah, he just slices its shoulder area down into its shoulder. It's a massive overhead chop.
Arthanur.
Defensive and spear.
Oh my gosh. Damn.
I was going to spawn a couple other little wolves. But what does that look like as you do that? That's like pretty much. That's perfect. That's a perfect hit. That's a Dolph plus extraordinary.
So I see Aravule dismount the horse, and were we on the same horse or were we on separate horses?
Separate, I thought, yeah.
So I'm starting to pull ahead, but Arthanur, even in this state, can't resist a good fight, and he sees that Aravule putting his life on the line once again. The ranger's already going out of his way to do all this for him, so he's not going to let the ranger go down at this point. Of course, he'd never tell Aravule this, but he spins the horse around, reaches for the spear that's attached to the side, and just levels it like a trained cavalryman, and splits the wolf between the eyes. Just cuts right through, exposing a brain and whatever else is in there. And splatters it. The wolf might stand there for a minute, dumbstruck, and then just fall to the ground dead. He spins the spear and puts it back on the side of the saddle.
And Willward and Goodwill pull up on their horse. And he says, "Well there, Goody, your medicine seems to have some good effect."
Yes. Can always count on Arthanur.
Yeah, Aravule nods and looks up at Arthanur, and he's like, "Very well, enough of this. We don't have time for these games." And he kind of wipes his blade on the pelt of the dead animal and lets it fall back into the scabbard as he climbs back into his saddle.
And Arthanur would be riding and be blinking slow, and then just rubs a trickle of blood that's coming out of his nose and wipe it on the side of his saddle.
He says, "I thank you for your aid, but this is going to be a difficult journey regardless, and we don't need you doing any more than absolutely necessary."
The way that looked, it seemed absolutely necessary at the time. I'm not completely useless yet, Aravule. You can carry my limp body around when I reach that point.
"I'd rather not." And he just begins to ride again.
Willward says, "From what I can tell, and he's spent a few minutes going off of the road, and from my tracking, I think that was it. You should have a clear path from here to the ford of Bruinen. Godspeed, Aravule, son of Arafel, Arthanur." And he picks Goodwill up off of his horse and puts him on behind Aravule. And he rides off to the north and says, "I will bring word to Estelle." And
Dilly.
And Aravule's, "Hold on, Goody. Hold on tight."
And Goody holds on to Aravule's cloak as they ride.
"Fly, you fools."
Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing we have the 4 horses and 1 pony. Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Hauling ass. Horse train.
Yeah, if any of the horses look to falter, I would basically let it go and then go to the next horse, basically.
Yeah, and so on good roads, and this, you only have 1 travel check, so I did the math, and you make it there in 5.375 days.
Okay.
We're just in time for lunch. And for me to pass the fuck out.
Should we do a travel check?
Oh, we already did one.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, we did it.
Okay.
Yep, summer, good roads, horses. The whole trip, 5.375 days. So eventually you cross the ford of the Bruinen. You ascend the winding stairway of a mountain after riding through the night. And right now you can see the first rays of the sun peeking their fingers up over the misty mountains, now to your east several leagues. Even though it's summer, you have gained some altitude and it's rather cool and crisp, and you see that there are evergreen trees on either side of the road. As you climb higher and higher, you eventually crest a precipice and you look down into the Bruinen Valley, and in the morning light you see a white dove or some sort of winged creature
Pigeon.
Is that a seagull?
A squab.
Pigeon shit on me.
Circling over the valley as you descend. It's been a long journey over 5 days, and perhaps Arthanur is worse for their wear. And as of yet, you're unexpected.
Aravule looks to Arthanur and Goodwill and says, I'm surprised Lord Elrond isn't aware of us and has riders to meet us. I thought he knew everything that was happening in these parts.
He does.
Well, come then. Goodwill, Arthanur, lead the way.
Good will be at the in the lead and say, follow me, Aravule. We must get there quickly.
He does. I would assume we're dismounted at this point, leading our horses, probably, besides Arthanur, maybe.
And as you dismount, you come across the first house, and in the morning, a tall elf with golden hair steps out and sees this queer company passing by. And he says, Arthanur, Aravule, Goodwill took. What brings you? And he kind of sees the state that Arthanur is in. He says, come now. We must bring you to the house of Elrond.
Earl says, yes, that's why we've come. It was... And he frowns, kind of... I'm guessing that he knows a little bit about Rivendell, just based on his lore. And he says, I do not wish to speak ill here, but Arthanur was stabbed with a Morgul blade. I am almost certain of it. At Fornost.
And Glorfindel has a dark look on his face, and he ushers you forth and says, Come, we must make haste. Elrond will be glad to welcome your company, and I'm sure will render aid to Arthanur. Indeed, even though the enemy has many spies, so do we. And he looks upwards, and that white bird is circling overhead. We have heard of the victory at Fornost. It is glad tidings indeed. But this, and he looks at Arthanur, my heart hangs heavy. And he gives a sidelong glance at Aravule, kind of the same way that Wilward did, kind of saying like, this is not looking good. And so your horses are stabled, and he helps you into the last homely house, and you see 2 more people there. And the Hall of Fire, just off to the right of the foyer of the last homely house, you see Aragorn and Elrond kind of over a table. There's some plates of food nearby, and they're poring over some maps, deep in conversation. When Glorfindel comes in and says, Lord Elrond, we are in need of your assistance. And then he kind of gives the floor to Aravule, Arthanur, and Goodwill.
No, Aravule kind of looks to Arthanur. This is his home.
I'm out of it, man. At this point, Arthanur's not really very coherent.
Goodwill kind of at this point is sick and tired of all this sidelong glances and morbid nonsense. He kind of steps forward, both the man and the elf, and he kind of does a courtesy to Lord Elrond, and he says, Lord Elrond, Arthanur seems to have been gravely wounded by a blade of some dark origin. I know not much about it, but his health and his life keeps slipping away. I have used some of the Atlas on him, but it doesn't seem to work. Nothing I do seems to work. We've been riding for 5 days, 6 days. we are at our wits' end.
He moves over to Arthanur. He says, Goodwill, you've done what you could. Each of us does what we can in our small measure, and never underestimate yourself, young hobbit. And he presses his head to Arthanur's head and says, Indeed, Master Hobbit, it is only because of your small efforts that this elf still lives. Glorfindel, Aragon, fetch me water. And they move him to a different room, and now there's a screen wipe, and Arthanur is laying in a bed of white linens, and you're all attending to him. And Elrond, Aragorn, and Glorfindel are busy doing what they're doing, and there's a tender moment between Aravule, Arthanur, and Goodwill, and it's there. A song could help.
Oh, shit. Damn it. Oh, man.
Arvule's just watching him kind of impatiently, just like wondering if he's going to get better, not knowing anything about this kind of healing, obviously.
Do I know what happens if I die with this? Would I be aware of what it... Because I know, but would Arthanur be aware of what happens when you die from a Morgul Blade? Because I remember...
Give me a lore check and see.
Oh, God. Ready for me to get the eye here? Oh, good.
No.
Yeah, you know what happens.
Oh, God. You become a wraith, don't you?
Pass away from this wound, you become a wraith. You enter the wraith world.
Oh, God. Ugh. And are wraiths inherently under the dominion of shadow, or is that just a state of being?
It's a state of being. It's kind of outlined in the book, but basically you become within that realm that the ringways inhabit.
Ugh.
Forever doomed to wander Middle-earth.
Oh, God.
Never touching, never interacting, never feeling the warmth of the sun again upon your skin. It's not good. And so what will happen is the TN for healing you will start at 20.
Oof.
And if Aravule and Goodwill can help you in some way, and realize that this poison is not only poison of the body, but poison of the spirit, then that TN will be decreased, and then Elrond will give it a shot.
You want to go first, Zypher?
Yeah, sorry, what was that again?
No, he said... He basically said we're going to try to lower the TN with our roleplay and rolls, I'm guessing.
Yeah, the TN will start at 20, which is pretty rough. Even for Elrond, he might fail that.
Okay.
And just realize that this poison is not only a poison of the body, but also the mind and the spirit and the heart. And that whatever you can do to buoy Arthanur's spirits, either medically or spiritually, you better get to it. Because after that, Elrond's going to give it a shot at healing him.
My heart's already pretty fucking low, so good luck. Let's go.
So Goodwill kind of sits, kind of climbs up the bed and sits by Arthanur's side. He takes his hand, the hand that has been hit and hurt, and he whispers basically, just so that the few of them can hear. And he says, if you let me care, if you let me be your strength, you know that I'll be there. Let me be your friend. Let your worries flow through me. Let your troubles end. Let me take your hand. Let me help you stand. Let my strength be yours. Let me guide you through the maze. Let me fight your wars. Let me give you some time to dream. Let me give you peace. Let your worries cease, for your friend Goodwill stands by your side. And then Goodwill just kind of puts his head down and just holds Arthanur's hand, not knowing what else he can do at the moment.
All right. Give me a song.
Song.
It's your song, your good one? So yeah, song.
9. I would like to hope it.
Hope it.
Hope is for song Heart.
Song is actually body.
Okay, 11.
Oh, shit.
No. So Arthanur is faded into the shadow, and even the sweet words of goodwill cannot pierce the veil of darkness that now surrounds him. It's a very, very depressing scene.
Mm-hmm.
Song is not body. What the fuck?
It's body.
No, I think he means not heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or wits. It is
I don't
body.
generally get pissed off at rules, but this is starting to piss me off.
Aravule, what you want to do?
Yeah, Aravule walks over and kind of like sighs and sits down next to Arthanur. He kind of doesn't look at him as he's speaking, just kind of looks off into, like, at the wall and says, I know you have a quite low opinion of me and my kind, Arthanur. And when he's speaking, he's not speaking expecting a response. He says, but my opinion of you is not so low. If it were not for you, many more would have died. Perhaps we would not even be here today. Perhaps Fornost would have fallen to the orcs. Perhaps I would be dead. Not perhaps, I would be dead. Certainly. Perhaps Goodwill too, and the rest of our fellowship. To that I can never repay you. But I say now, do us one more boon, and that is live. Do not go to that place we cannot follow. Do not pass from these lands in such a way. Do you not wish to see what is across the sea with your own eyes? Now fight! Use your disdain and your
Get the hate.
whatever. Yeah, use your inner strength. Fight now. Fight for yourself. Fight for your people. Fight for your fellowship. Do not give up. And I guess inspire.
Inspire.
Now use a hope. God, we are rolling like ass.
Until Elrond eyes the heel.
Yeah.
All right. So that TN is down to 18. All right.
God.
He goes
Elrond
nothing,
returns
boys.
to the bedside and lays his hands upon Arthanur. Says noble words, Master Hobbit, and inspiring ones from you, Aravule, last heir of Cardolan. But now is the time that Arthanur must go to that deep place and find what gem lies within his soul. He must pull himself up from the darkness. Yes, we can help, but in the end it will be up to him. And whether he continues to fight or he goes into that long night never his bright spear to shine again beneath the stars and moon of Middle-earth. Come. Aragorn and Glorfindel bring him a couple rags to put on Arthanur's head, and then you see Elrond's hand lay upon the elf's breast. And let's give this a shot. All right, 18. You should be okay.
Should.
Can you use a hope with this?
No.
He has, it's actually a preferred one. He adds his attribute to it, which is 9, so.
Halfway there, yeah.
It's added into my roll. I made a macro. I made a healing macro.
Ready for the eye?
You ready? You ready, Zypher? There you go.
Tense.
Oh, God. Extraordinary success.
Yep.
Outrageous. Didn't fucking die.
All right, so what happens?
Oh man, am I describing it, or how does this one work?
Yeah.
So, for a while, Arthanur was seeing... Wow, he would have killed it. For a while, Arthanur was seeing the shadows and just wraiths and ghosts, and was surrounded by the darkness and shadow, even maybe a faint glimpse of a red eye slowly being drawn near it. And he heard the voices of his friends muffled in his ears and trying to pull him out, but it was getting closer and closer, and then all of a sudden a bright light shone through the darkness and brought him here. Out the white linens shining around him, dim light coming in from outside, surrounded by his friends. And he felt rejuvenated. He felt the cold sweat come down from his brow, but not feverish, perhaps not 100%, but he felt close to normal, the closest he's felt to himself, though there is a slight pain in his shoulder that seems to ruminate. He looks around. So, the tale does not end here, it seems. Thank you, my lord.
It is not I. Look to your left and look to your right. In the end, it is not the kingdom of men that will stand alone. Will be the kingdom of men, the kingdom of the elves, and of the small folk of the Shire. Only together will we defeat the shadow that grows in the east. And of that we have much to speak of, Arthanur. But those are dark dealings for dark times. And now is a glad time, for not so many tread closely to the shadow as you have, and yet survive. I do not know whether to think there is strong stuff within you, or you are perhaps buoyed by the spirits of your friends. He smiles, and Glorfindel and Aragorn smile as well, and they look to Goodwill and Aravule.
It is the strong stuff within Arthanur that brought him back to us. It's the strong stuff within Arthanur that keeps him going even in the face of shadow.
Aravule looks down at Arthanur after Goodwill speaks and says, I believe it's what you would call stubbornness. He's too stubborn to die just yet. Ill-natured. Bad-tempered.
And I would look up to Aravule, and at least I am not some bumbling tall oaf falling over myself in the woods. And I would lean up and reach out my hand, but I must say, Ranger, I have not given you enough credit. I stated that you and your people were, well, not fit to hold sway over this land, but after my journeys with you and Goodwill and the others, I must say, I could not have been more wrong. I would hold my hand out to him.
Aravule looks down at the hand and seems fairly surprised and lets it show on his face and reaches out and takes the hand and shakes it, and he says, "Perhaps not so ill-tempered after all." And he kind of smiles. And even the dwarf then, and then his smile cracks even larger.
Baby steps, I think. Stand up and grab my shoulder. I fear I'll be stuck with this for the rest of my days.
Narrow kind of looks at Goodwill and the rest and doesn't really say anything to that, at least.
We'll give Goodwill the last word.
Yep, fitting.
I have learned much in your company, Arthanur, Aravule, and I will have much more to learn. But know this, we small folk make friends for life, and we give our lives for our friends. I shall always be by your side, wherever the journey may lead.
And with that, the curtain draws to a close on Book 1 of the One Ring Blades and Blasters edition.
Woohoo!
Outrageous. Didn't even die.